What's up guys, Justin Kaplan Pro here, your startup business mentor and branding strategist. Today we're going to be talking about motivation. More specifically, we're going to be talking about how to stay motivated and break through those bad habits that are constantly plaguing you. Motivation is powerful, but it's also a tricky little beast. I think we can all agree that motivation is sometimes very easy to come by, and you can find yourself wrapped up in a whirlwind of excitement, but then other times it seems nearly impossible to figure out how to motivate yourself. Am I right? Like, that's when you get trapped in that death spiral of procrastination. So let me just preempt this by saying today, guys, the training I'm going to give you today is not some rah-rah motivational speech, right? Y'all know that that's not my style. Instead, we're going to break down the why and the how behind what self-motivation really is, and specifically identify how to stay motivated and break through those bad habits in a way that's going to be sustainable long-term, all right? So if that sounds like exactly what you need today, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and as always, guys, I love comments and interaction, so be sure to drop some comments all along the way, all right? Let's dive in. All right, guys, we're going to dive right into this today. I want to start you out with the question, what is motivation exactly? There's an awesome quote in the book, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, who says, at some point in time, the pain of not doing something becomes greater than the pain of doing it. And I love that statement because basically what that is saying is that at some point it is easier to change than to stay the same. If you're looking to get in shape, it's easier to take action and feel a little insecure getting started at the gym than to sit your butt on the couch and spend your days in self-loathing. If you want to make more money, it's easier to feel a little awkward making sales calls to new prospects than to feel desperate about your dwindling bank account. That mindset, I think, is the essence of motivation. Every choice has a price, but when we are motivated, it is easier to bear the inconvenience of action than the pain of remaining the same. Somehow you cross a mental threshold, and usually it's after weeks of procrastination which has brought you to the doorstep of an impending deadline, and then only at that point did it become more painful not to do the work than to actually do it. You were out of time. So then, the golden question is, what can we do to make it more likely that we cross that mental threshold and experience that core of motivation on a more consistent basis? That's the essence of today's conversation today, guys, and we're going to dive right into it, and I'm going to give you 6 steps along the way, all right? Number 1 is simplify the start. One interesting thing that you may not realize about motivation is that it often comes after starting a new behavior, not before. I think a lot of people have this misconception that motivation arrives as a result of being triggered by a motivational video or reading an inspirational book. However, active inspiration is a far more powerful motivator. Write that down. Active inspiration is a far more powerful motivator. Motivation is most often the result of actions, not the cause of actions. Getting started, even in a very small way, is a form of active inspiration that naturally produces momentum. Call it the physics of productivity if you want, because it basically is Newton's first law. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion. So once a task has begun, it is easier to continue moving it forward. That is why most people don't procrastinate on finishing something. It's almost always the start that gets delayed. But once you get moving, what happens? You keep moving, right? And if you do procrastinate on finishing something, it's likely because you actually stopped. And now you have to restart again to finish. Am I right? I'm reading your mail again. I'm peeking in your windows, all right? So point number 1 is one of the keys to getting motivated is to simplify the start, all right? Number 2 is do not let motivation schedule you. I was listening to an interview recently where the author that was being interviewed said, a lot of people never get around to writing because they're always wondering what they're going to write about next. You can really apply that to just about anything, be it working out or starting a new business or creating art or writing a book or whatever, just about any habit that you name. But on the workout regimen, if your workout doesn't have a time associated to it, then each day you're going to wake up in the morning thinking, I hope I feel motivated to work out today, right? You're already starting behind. If your business doesn't have a system for marketing, then you'll start your workday just simply crossing your fingers, hoping that someone's going to come across your business today. And do you think you would actually survive running a business that way? I don't think so. If you're a writer and you don't have blocked time in your schedule every week to actually write, then you might find yourself saying things like, I just need the willpower, or I really need some fresh ideas. Setting a schedule for yourself probably seems simple, but are you really doing it consistently and intentionally? Doing so puts your decision making on autopilot by giving your goals a time and a place to live. It makes it more likely that you will follow through regardless of your motivation levels. And there are plenty of research studies on willpower and motivation to back up that statement, okay? Stop waiting for motivation or inspiration to strike you before you're willing to become committed enough to set a schedule for your habits. This is really the difference between professionals and amateurs. Professionals set a schedule and they stick to it. Amateurs wait until inspiration or motivation shows up, but even then they usually lack the self-discipline to follow through with accomplishment. If you sincerely want to master self-motivation, don't let motivation schedule you, all right? And if you're in the front row, watch out because I'm throwing bricks today, okay? Number 3 is to establish ritual habits. Ritual habits are the making of momentum. Write that down. And momentum is the secret sauce to becoming truly unstoppable in your life and in your business. I like to define the word momentum as a strength, power, or speed gained by the development of a ritual process. And you might say, rituals. That's an interesting word choice. What do you consider rituals, Justin? I'm so glad you asked. Rituals are a series of actions or behavior that are regularly and invariably followed by an individual. I said regularly and invariably. The definition of invariably, in case you were wondering, is in every case and on every occasion, always. Am I making my point here? The power of a ritual is that it provides a mindless way to initiate your behavior. It makes starting your habits easier, which means that following through on a consistent basis also comes easier. And the key to any good ritual is that it removes the need to make a decision. What should I do first? When should I do this? Where should I do this? How should I do this? Most people never get moving because they can't decide how to get started. So, how do you develop effective rituals? Here's 3 quick tips for you on rituals, right? Number 1 is a good ritual starts by being so easy that even basic levels of discipline won't say no to it. These things should not require motivation. For example, my evening routine starts by setting up the coffee maker for the morning, planning my work attire, and then taking a shower. I do these things in the evening because they save me time in the morning and they get me moving faster. These tasks are so easy, I never say no to them. Do I always feel like it? No. But do I ever skip them? No. Which leads me to the second step. Your routine should get you moving towards your end goal. A lack of mental motivation is often linked to a lack of physical movement. So just imagine your physical state when you're feeling depressed, bored, or unmotivated. You're not moving very much, right? Maybe you're slumped over like a slug on the couch, slowly melting away into your existence. The opposite is also true. If you're physically moving and engaged, then it's far more likely that you feel mentally engaged and stimulated. For example, with my evening routine, the thing I often dread the most is the shower. But as soon as I get up and start working on the coffee maker and I get moving and choose my outfit, then eventually getting to the shower is no big deal. It's because I got myself moving. But to the contrary, if I ever skip one of those 3 things in my evening routine, it is an instant demotivator for me in the morning. And that's because mentally I feel like I can't get moving right into my day. I'm stalled by something that I should have done yesterday. I know this, which is why I cannot remember the last time that I didn't follow through with my evening routine. Because it's that important to me and I know how it plays into my core daily motivation. Now, while your routine should be as easy as possible to start, it should gradually transition into demanding more of you. Your mind and your motivation will follow whatever you're giving energy to, which leads me to step 3, is establish a pattern and follow it daily. The primary purpose of developing a ritual process is to create a rhythm for how you operate. It's how you set yourself up to be successful. Eventually, those rituals become so tied to your performance that by simply doing the routine, you are pulled into the momentum and the mental state that is priming you to perform. You don't need to know how to find motivation. You just need to start your rituals. Does that make sense? Right? Your rituals are your pre-game warm-up. They're the set-off for your day. They're basically the triggers that jumpstart your action, even if you're lacking motivation at the start. Now, I know that was a long point, but it was an important one to discuss. So number 3 was establish ritual habits, all right? Number 4 is the Goldilocks rule. Now, I'm very curious. Have any of y'all ever heard of the Goldilocks rule? I'd love for you to put it in the comments if you have. Put a yes or no to the Goldilocks rule if you've ever heard of it before. Let me explain it like this. Imagine you're playing tennis. If you try to play a serious match of tennis against, say, a 4-year-old, you're going to get bored real quick, right? Because the match is just too easy. There's no competition. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you try to play a serious match against a pro like Roger Federer or Serena Williams, you're going to find yourself completely demotivated for an entirely different reason, because no one enjoys being pulverized by someone who is absolutely much more advanced in skill, right? Now, compare these experiences to playing tennis against someone who is your equal. As the game progresses, you win a few points, then maybe you lose a few points. You have a chance of winning the match, but only if you really try. Your focus narrows, distractions tend to fade away, and you find yourself fully invested in the task at hand. The challenge you are facing may be challenging, but also manageable. Victory is not guaranteed, but you've got a shot at it. Those are the tasks that are most likely to keep you motivated long term. Human beings naturally love challenges, but only if they are within the optimal zone of difficulty. Tasks that are significantly below your abilities are boring, but tasks that are significantly beyond your current abilities are also frustrating or discouraging. But tasks that are right on the border of success and failure are incredibly motivating to the human brain. There's a resolve in us that thrives on mastering something that was once just beyond our reach. That's the Goldilocks rule, which was named as an analogy from the children's story The Three Bears, in which Goldilocks tastes 3 different bowls of porridge and finds that she prefers porridge that is neither too hot nor too cold, but has just the right temperature. So the Goldilocks rule implies that humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities, not too hard, not too easy, but just right. So if you find yourself feeling unmotivated to work on a task, it is often because it has drifted in an area of boredom or been shoved in the area of great difficulty. You need to find a way to pull your task back to the border of your abilities where you feel challenged but also capable. Here's a couple last quick thoughts for you, right? Number 5 is discomfort is temporary. Relative to the time in your normal day or week, nearly any habit you perform is over quickly. Your workout will be finished in an hour or 2. Your report will be typed to completion probably by tomorrow morning. Life is easier now than it has ever been. 300 years ago, if you didn't kill your own food or build your own house, you'd be dead, right? Today, we whine about forgetting our iPhone chargers. Maintain perspective. Your life is good, and your discomfort is temporary. Step into this moment of discomfort and let it strengthen you, not wear you down, all right? Number 6, your last one, is you will never regret good work once it's been done. Theodore Roosevelt famously said, far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing. But so often it seems that we want to work easily at work worth doing. We want our work to be helpful and respected, but we don't want to have to struggle through our work. We want our stomachs to be flat and our arms to be strong, but we don't want to grind through another workout. We want the final result, but not the failed attempts that precede it. We want the gold, but not the grind. Anyone can want a gold medal, but few lack the discipline or resolve or willpower to train like an Olympic champion. And yet, despite our resistance to it, I have never found myself feeling down after a hard day's work was done. Never. Certainly there have been days where it seemed like everything was working against my motivation to start, but it was always worth finishing. Sometimes the simple act of showing up and having the courage to do the work, even if it's average, is a victory worth celebrating. Show up for yourself today. You're worth it. And hopefully this conversation today will help you get moving intentionally in the right direction, all right? Guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Drop me some comments down below. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to know what impact my content had on you today, guys. All right, have a spectacular day. I appreciate you. God bless, and I will see you guys all around the web, all right? Take care.